It is approximately 6:40 p.m. That December 16th, 2014. And a few minutes ago, I was just at the Pelham Public Library. It's only just a little short hop in my car. Uh, just up the road to my church, the First Congregational United Church of Christ, here on Main Street in Pelham, and not much else. Just simply waiting for the other members of our missions committee to show up to take for the meeting. I've already found out that at least one person's not going to be able to make it. So not sure how many how many members of the mission committee are gonna show up in another, by 7 o'clock in the evening. That it's important to take, if you remember a church, it's important to take and support the churches, one's church's different missions within the church, and also out in the community and the wider world. And of course, the way that I serve in the wider community is by my remaining in contact with many other adults on the both the autism spectrum and also the cerebral palsy disability spectrums, which is important because I have many friends who have both Asperger's syndrome and other forms of autism, and many friends who are in the cerebral palsy disability community. That some of them are more able, like me, I am, of course, a leg bracer, and I use forearm crutches or my four-wheel rollator walker for mobility now as an older adult with mild cerebral palsy. But I know many other adults on the cerebral palsy disability spectrum who are more severely affected, and who use wheelchairs, either manual wheelchairs or powered wheelchairs to enhance their physical mobility and to be able to get out into the community. And of course, I should point out that that being out in the community is an important thing for all persons with disabilities. One cannot stay isolated. Even we people with disability, with different disabilities, need to be out in the community to interact with others, and also to take and meet and be around others that are like ourselves. That it's an important thing that aids in our own mental and psychological well-being. And of course, my talking to you out there in the YouTube community via video, that is a way of connecting to other people. And of course, computers, and of course the cellular telephone in its various incarnations, whether it be a flip phone or was it iPhone or Android phone or whatever, that these have changed the dynamic, and also the different with it laptop computers and also tablet computers have changed, and also with it older computers, with it laptops, older desktop computers have changed the dynamic of empowering persons with disabilities, all different kinds of disabilities, the deaf, the blind, people on the autism spectrum, and those who also have intellectual disabilities, and then of course other physical disabilities like cerebral palsy, spina bifida, spinal paralysis, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, and you name it. The high technology has permitted us persons with disabilities to become a part of the community and to become productive citizens. And of course, yesterday evening, I spent my evening at one of my Asperger autism friends, parents' place, where we had a meeting, a board of directors meeting of a new nonprofit that will help adults with Asperger's syndrome and high-functioning autism to obtain and to maintain employment, and try to do with a lot of the things that standard, traditional, state vocational rehabilitation does not do well, which is state vocational rehabilitation for the disabled. They do a profoundly poor job of doing long-term follow-up of the employment status and employability of adults with disabilities. It doesn't make any difference what disability it is. But many adults, even with autism and Asperger's syndrome, which is of course on the autism spectrum, those of us who are capable of employment, are not receiving the correct services to be able to become employed and to stay employed. And also when they do get services, via the state of Massachusetts or the state of New Hampshire, where I live here in New Hampshire, the next state over with it down south in that direction is of course Massachusetts. That follow-up was spotty to non-existent. And many adults on the autism spectrum who are capable of employment, they need to have follow-up, not just on, let's say, like maybe once a year, just ask how they're doing, whether they're still employed or not. But they need to have follow-up, on a continual basis to see how they're doing, whether there are any issues that need to be addressed, in order to maintain the employment, that have nothing to do with economic factors. And if there are economic factors involved, to be able to bring the person with autism back into a place where they could take and have the correct resources to be able to become re-employed, and also the correct resources if they have a change in their autism disability status, with it, of not being able to tolerate employment anymore, to be able to get the needed services with it to go on to Social Security, and also to have whatever other needed services they require, like with it for, is it like, is it monitoring in the home, is it, or wherever they're living, even if they or an assistance with it living out in the community, to be on their own, and also to take and to and also with services if the autistic person is unable to drive, to be able to then have transportation services that they need to get out in the community, to do the necessary tasks of daily living, such as shopping, going to medical appointments, and so forth. Well, anyways, I gotta take and sign off on this weblog, and was it my this missions committee meeting is about ready to start.